There are places you won't find on any map. Places no one is meant to reach. And no one is meant to leave. This is the story of the day we found one. Or the day it found us. Chapter 1, The Storm That Wasn't on the Map. We were not supposed to be there. The map was clear. The route was simple. 3 days along the coast, then turn east, and by the 7th sunrise, we would see land, familiar land, marked and known. I had sailed that path twice before. There was nothing mysterious about it. Nothing unpredictable. Until the storm came. It rose too quickly. Not like a storm that builds with warning, not like the slow gathering of clouds on the horizon. One moment, the sea was restless. The next, it was alive. The wind struck us from the side, sharp and sudden. The sails snapped like breaking bones. The deck tilted beneath my feet, and the world became nothing but motion and noise. "Hold the line!" Someone shouted, though I could not tell who. I gripped the rope with both hands, my fingers tightening until they burned. Rain cut across my face like glass. Lightning split the sky, not once, but again and again, as if the storm had no intention of ending. But the strangest part was not the violence. It was the direction. I remember thinking it clearly, even as the ship fought the waves. This is wrong. The wind was not pushing us off course. It was pulling us somewhere. That thought stayed with me long after the worst of it had passed. Because the storm ended just as suddenly as it had begun. No slow fading. No distant thunder. One moment chaos. The next silence. The sea settled. The wind vanished. Even the waves seemed to forget their anger. We stood there, soaked and breathing hard, waiting for something more. Another gust. Another strike. Something. But nothing came. Only fog. It rolled across the water in a slow, quiet sheet, swallowing the horizon. And then... land. The word came from the bow. Low. Uncertain. I moved toward the front of the ship, my boots heavy against the wet wood. The others followed, drawn by the same quiet instinct. At first, I saw nothing. Only gray. Endless gray. Then a shape. Dark. Solid. Too close. An island. But not one I recognized. The cliffs rose sharply from the water, black and uneven, like something broken and left unfinished. There were no beaches. No welcoming shore. Just stone and shadow. And above it, trees. Dense. Thick. Almost too still. No birds. No sound. Just silence. "Is it on the map?" someone asked. No one answered. Because we all knew. It wasn't. I stepped closer to the edge of the ship, narrowing my eyes, trying to understand what I was looking at. There was something else. Something hidden in the shape of it. Not natural. Not entirely. Between the trees, just for a moment, I thought I saw lines. Straight lines. Stone. Ruins. "Drop anchor," the captain said. His voice was steady, but quieter than usual. No one argued. The anchor fell into the water with a heavy, final sound. And just like that, we stopped. I don't know how long I stood there. Watching it. Trying to make sense of something that did not want to be understood. It wasn't fear. Not yet. Something else. Something quieter. The kind of feeling you get when you realize you are no longer where you're supposed to be. The captain turned slightly, looking at the crew. "We go ashore at first light." No one spoke. No one moved. But I felt it. The same thought, passing through all of us at once. We hadn't found the island. It had found us. Chapter 2, The Shore That Watched Us. The night passed without sleep. No one said it, but I knew the others felt it too. The island did not disappear into the fog like land should. It remained. Silent. Watching. At dawn, the sea was calm again. Too calm. The captain gave the order without hesitation. Lower the boats. The sound of wood scraping against wood echoed strangely across the water, as if the island carried it further than it should. I stepped into the small boat with 3 others. The rope creaked as we descended. The closer we got to the water, the more I felt it, something subtle, something impossible to name. Not fear. Anticipation. The kind that doesn't belong to you. We rowed in silence. Each stroke of the oars broke the surface with a soft, rhythmic sound. The fog began to thin as we approached the shore, revealing more of the island piece by piece. And the closer we came, the less natural it felt. The cliffs I had seen from the ship were not everywhere. There was a narrow opening, a stretch of dark sand between jagged rock formations. That was where we landed. The boat scraped gently against the shore. No waves. No sound. Just that soft, unnatural stillness. I stepped out first. The sand was cold beneath my boots. Not wet like it should have been, but dry. As if the sea did not touch it often. I looked back once. The ship was barely visible through the thinning fog. Distant. Smaller than it should have been. Too far already. Stay close, one of the men muttered. But no one moved away anyway. The jungle stood just ahead. Dense. Thick. Almost deliberate. The trees grew too close together, their branches weaving into one another like they had been placed, not grown. And still. No sound. No birds. No insects. Nothing. We stepped forward. Each movement felt louder than it should have. Boots pressing into sand. Fabric shifting. Breath. Everything echoed slightly. Not in the air. But in the mind. The deeper we went, the more I noticed it. The ground was uneven, but not randomly so. There were patterns. Subtle. Faded. Like paths that had once existed and then been swallowed. I slowed my pace. Something caught my eye. Stone. Not large. Not obvious. But wrong. I crouched slightly, brushing aside leaves and dirt. There it was. A carved edge. Smooth. Deliberate. Too precise to be natural. This place, one of the men whispered behind me, someone lived here. I didn't answer. Because that wasn't the thought in my mind. Someone didn't just live here. They built something. Something large enough that pieces of it still remained. We moved further in. And then. I saw it. Not just a stone. Not just a fragment. A wall. Tall. Broken. Covered in vines and thyme. But still standing. The air changed. Not colder. Not warmer. Just different. Heavier. As if the deeper we went, the more the island became aware of us. I turned slowly, scanning the trees. Still no movement. Still no sound. And yet, I was certain of one thing. We were no longer alone. Chapter 3, The Place That Shouldn't Exist. The deeper we went, the less the island felt like a place. And more like something built. Not all at once. Not clearly. But enough. The ground beneath our feet became firmer. Less soil. More stone. The patterns I had seen before began to repeat, no longer faint, no longer hidden. They were everywhere now. Paths. Not natural paths. Deliberate ones. Worn, but not erased. As if something had once walked here many times. Stay close, someone said again. But this time, it wasn't caution. It was instinct. We followed the path without speaking. It guided us. Not gently, but clearly. There were no forks. No confusion. Just one direction. Forward. And then. We saw it. Not fragments. Not scattered remains. A structure. Massive. Rising from the jungle like it had been waiting to be found. The stone was dark, almost black in places, cut with a precision I had never seen. Even the oldest buildings in the ports I had known did not look like this. This was something else. Something older. Or perhaps something that did not belong to any place I knew. One of the men stepped forward first. Too quickly. Don't. I started to speak, but the word came too late. His hand touched the wall. For a moment, nothing happened. And then. The air changed. Not violently. Not suddenly. But enough. A low sound, almost too quiet to hear, moved through the stone beneath our feet. Like something waking. We all froze. No one spoke. No one moved. The man pulled his hand back slowly. Did you feel that? He whispered. I didn't answer. Because I had. There was an opening. I hadn't seen it at first. It blended into the structure so perfectly that it almost refused to be noticed. A doorway. Tall. Narrow. Leading into darkness. No carvings. No markings. Just absence. And yet. It felt like the most important part of the entire structure. That wasn't there before, someone said. But I knew that wasn't true. It had been there. We just hadn't seen it. Until now. No one gave the order. No one needed to. We moved toward it together. Slowly. Carefully. Drawn forward by something none of us understood. The air grew colder as we approached. Not like wind. Not like weather. Something deeper. As if the warmth simply did not exist there. I crossed the threshold first. And the world behind me felt further away than it should have been. The light dimmed instantly. Not gradually. Instantly. As if the doorway had decided how much of the outside world was allowed to follow us in. I turned slightly. The entrance was still there. But it looked smaller. Further. Wrong. Then I saw it. At the center of the space. A structure. Smaller than the outer walls, but more precise. A platform. And on it. Something I could not yet understand. Not gold. Not treasure. Something else. Something that did not belong to the idea of discovery. Something that felt like it had been waiting for us. I stopped. And for the first time since we had stepped onto the island, I felt it clearly. This place was not abandoned. Chapter 4. It wasn't meant to be touched. No one spoke. We stood there, surrounding it, but not yet. The chamber felt different from the jungle. Not quieter. More controlled. As if the silence here was not natural, but maintained. The object rested on the platform at the center. Smooth. Too smooth. No cracks. No damage. No sign of time. And yet everything around it was ancient. Broken. Consumed by years. But not this. This was untouched. I stepped closer. Not because I wanted to. Because something pulled. Not physically. Something quieter. Like a thought that wasn't mine. "Don't," one of the men said. But his voice sounded distant. Unimportant. I stopped at the edge of the platform. The air felt heavier here. Harder to breathe. Or maybe I had simply forgotten how. My hand moved. Slowly. I could feel it even before I touched it. A faint vibration. Like something awake beneath the surface. And then. Contact. For a fraction of a moment. Nothing. Then. Everything changed. The light wasn't bright. Not blinding. But it spread. Fast. Across the surface of the platform. Into the walls. Into the floor beneath our feet. Lines appeared. Carved into the stone. Hidden before. Now glowing. Alive. The sound returned. That same low vibration. But louder now. Deeper. The ground shifted beneath us. Not breaking. Moving. Back. Someone shouted. This time I heard it. This time it mattered. I stepped away from the platform. Too late. The chamber was no longer the same. The entrance was gone. Not closed. Not blocked. Gone. Where there had been a doorway, there was now only stone. Seamless. Unbroken. Impossible. The light pulsed once more. Stronger. The air shifted again. And this time, it felt different. Colder. Sharper. As if something had noticed. I turned slowly. The others were already looking. Not at the walls. Not at the platform. Into the darkness beyond the light. Where the chamber extended further than we had seen before. And in that darkness, something moved. Not clearly. Not fully. But enough. A shift. A presence. Something that had not been there. Until we touched it. No one spoke. No one needed to. Because we all understood the same thing at the same moment. We hadn't discovered anything. We had triggered it. Chapter 5, We should have never entered. No one waited for an explanation. We moved. Not together. Not calmly. Instinct took over faster than thought ever could. Back. Someone shouted again, but the word had already lost meaning. There was no back anymore. Only movement. Only escape. I turned toward where the entrance had been and ran. The others followed, or maybe I followed them. It didn't matter. The chamber no longer felt like a place. It felt like something closing. The walls were shifting. Not visibly. Not breaking or collapsing. But changing. The lines that had lit up across the stone pulsed, and with each pulse, the space felt different. Longer. Wider. Wrong. Where is it? The voice echoed, but not the way it should have. It returned too quickly. Too close. As if the walls were listening. We reached a turn that hadn't been there before. I knew it. I remembered the path. Straight. Simple. Now. It wasn't. Two directions. Both leading into shadow. Left. Someone yelled. We followed. Because there was no time to question. That was the moment we lost them. Not all at once. One by one. A step too slow. A turn too late. A voice that stopped answering. I heard one of them call out. Then silence. Not fading. Gone. I stopped for a moment. Just a moment. Turned back. There was nothing behind me. No footsteps. No movement. No sign that anyone had been there at all. The corridor stretched into darkness, untouched. As if it had always been empty. Keep moving. The captain's voice cut through the silence. Still there. Still leading. I followed. Because stopping meant thinking. And thinking meant understanding. And I wasn't ready for that. Then we saw it. Light. Faint. Distant, but real. The exit. Or something like it. We ran toward it without hesitation. Faster now. Closer. Almost. The light vanished. Not dimmed. Not faded. Gone. Replaced by stone. Sealed. Final. We stopped. All at once. Breathing hard. Looking at the place where freedom had existed just seconds before. No one spoke. Because there was nothing left to say. I turned slowly. Counted without thinking. Fewer. Much fewer. And the silence. It wasn't empty anymore. It felt full. Watching. Waiting. And for the first time since we had entered, I understood something clearly. This place wasn't trying to keep us out. It was deciding. Who was allowed to leave? Chapter 6, It Was Never an Island. We stopped running. Not because we wanted to. But because there was nowhere left to go. The corridors no longer changed. The walls no longer moved. Everything had settled. As if the place had finished deciding. There were only 3 of us now. The captain stood ahead, breathing heavily, one hand against the wall. The other man, silent, pale, staring into nothing. And me. Waiting. For something I didn't understand. The glow in the walls dimmed slowly. Not disappearing. Just softening. Becoming calm. Like a heartbeat returning to normal. The captain spoke first. We leave, he said. Simple. As if saying it would make it true. We turned. And there it was. The doorway. Open. Exactly where it had been before. No light burst. No sound. Just there. We didn't question it. We moved. Slowly this time. Carefully. As if speed might change something again. The jungle air hit differently as we stepped out. Warmer. Alive. I could hear it now. Birds. Wind. Life. Things that had not existed before. We didn't speak until we reached the shore. The boat was still there. Untouched. Waiting. Like everything else. We rowed back in silence. The ship came into view through the fog. Exactly where we had left it. No time had passed. Or maybe too much had. No one asked questions. Not on the boat. Not on the deck. Not even that night. Because we all knew. Something had happened. Something none of us could explain. And none of us wanted to try. Days passed. The island was gone. Not hidden by fog. Not distant. Gone. As if it had never existed. The map remained unchanged. No mark. No memory. Except in us. Weeks later. I noticed it. Not at sea. Not in the sky. On my hand. A mark. Faint at first. Barely visible. Lines. Straight. Precise. The same ones from the walls. The same ones from the floor. The same ones from the object. I covered it immediately. As if hiding it would make it disappear. It didn't. I have not told the others. I have not shown anyone. But sometimes. Late at night. I feel it. Not pain. Not warmth. Something else. A quiet pull. Like a direction I cannot see. Like a place I have already been. And now I understand. The island didn't disappear. It was never lost. It doesn't exist in one place. It doesn't wait to be found. It chooses. And when it does, it leaves something behind. Not treasure. Not knowledge. A mark. A memory. A path. And I think, one day, I will follow it.